to Bold Patents live Q&A. I'm your host, JD Houvener, with our very first ukulele interlude. Hope you enjoyed that. You might have seen it up there on my shelf. I don't pick it up too often. So I did practice that little interlude for a bit. I am a patent attorney, believe it or not, and I'm the owner here at Bold Patents Law Firm. And I'm your host here every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon on the East Coast. And of course, all those in between the time zones. We welcome everyone, entrepreneurs, business owners, inventors, people just curious about what patent law is all about. I welcome all of that. I do offer a quick disclaimer. This is not a legal consultation, unfortunately, and so we encourage you to not share confidential, personal subject matter on this channel, on this live broadcast. I welcome, hypotheticals, process-based questions. I want you to bring those on, and I'm excited. I've got two awesome guests, rock stars within our law firm here at Bold Patents. They volunteered to make time for you and to just share their story about what got them into the law, what it's like working at Bold Patents, and answer any questions that you've got as we move along. So again, I'm JD Houvener, owner here at the law firm, and I'm here every Wednesday. So know that this is not a legal consult, but we are going to go through live Q&A. So I will feature those live questions first. We've got a bit of an agenda, so I'll put this up here for you to look at. We did the introduction already, and if you missed that, please do rewind. Those are my ukulele skills in the making. And if you are here from avo.com, I do have 6 questions. We probably won't get to all 6 of those, and I get to those at the very end. So if you are in a hurry and you want to just fast forward to the segment and you're watching after the fact, feel free to do that. That's where we get to those avo questions. And then we'll offer a free screening session in just a minute here. And for those of you that are inventors, right out there thinking about inventing, not sure if it's the right moment, if this is the time to move forward with this new project, you're tired of seeing your ideas you tell friends about show up on the shelves a year later, and you want to take action, I'm going to reward you for doing that. I'm going to give you a copy of this book right behind me, Bold Ideas, The Inventor's Guide to Patents. You'll get a PDF downloadable version for taking action. And we have a free screening session where we're going to qualify you and make sure that you're a good fit, help you think through, hey, is this the right time for moving forward with an invention or a brand, whatever it is you've got going in your business. So that is the link. I just put that in the comments. Click the link and get scheduled today to speak with one of our non-attorney advisors. They'll take your information down, and if now is the right time, they will introduce you to one of our patent attorneys that'll do the consultation for you and do a deep dive, learn about your invention, and get you some advice moving forward. Okay, I'm going to skip right ahead to our guests. We have 2 wonderful guests, and I'm going to feature Huda. Huda Elgera is a patent attorney. She's our managing attorney here at Bold Patents. So Huda, welcome to the program.
Thank you, JD. Happy to be
Awesome
here.
to have you. Thank you for being so brave to come on. And Huda, you've been working together for what, 4 years, 5 years now?
Yes, at least, yeah, since 2017. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, and so first of all, thank you for for that and for helping all those inventors. I want to take it back a little bit because some people don't really understand what goes into becoming a patent attorney, and it seems like, and with you for sure, and most patent attorneys, there's kind of a bit of a meandering path, and it's what led you to this career choice. Can you walk us through how you got into that and a bit of your background there?
Absolutely, yes. Well, I born and raised in Texas, and I grew up in Dallas, Texas, and I didn't really want to stray far for college, so I stayed in Dallas and I attended Southern Methodist University. In my undergrad, I studied mechanical engineering with a specialization in environmental engineering, and I really enjoyed engineering. It was a very interesting program, but I always had interest in the law, and so law school is a graduate program. So after graduating from college with my Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering, I decided to, take that plunge and went to law school. And in law school, I became familiar and learned that there actually is a niche area of the law for individuals who have an engineering or a science or a technical background. and that you can combine that with the law in order to represent individuals who are seeking patents. You can become a patent attorney, and that you need to have both that engineering and technical and scientific background as well as the legal background. And so I do have both, as do all of our patent attorneys here at Bold and our patent agents as well. There is always going to be a requirement that they have an understanding of science, engineering, have this technical background. By law, that's required. And so once I completed law school, I took 2 bars. So it's an added level of challenge for attorneys because I took the Texas State Bar. Unfortunately, that was fine and passed and everything. And then also studied for the patent bar, which is a separate type of bar in order to show that you understand the complexities and the ins and outs of patent law and what's required to represent individuals who are seeking patents. And so I have been practicing patent law for 14 years. And then in addition, I went back to law school because I wanted to get even a broader understanding of intellectual property, not just patents. And so I have a master's in law called an LLM in intellectual property law from the University of Houston. And so I was fortunate to be able to delve also into the world of trademarks significantly and get a better understanding also of copyright law and trade secrets and some other elements that make up intellectual property law. So intellectual property law covers a myriad of topics. Patent law is one section of that whole group of intellectual property law. And so, yeah, patents are a type of property. They are an asset to our clients. And just like, real estate is a type of property that you can buy and sell and license, rent out as needed. You can do that with patents, and it's really fascinating that the U.S. Constitution has had since it first was written that inventors should be rewarded for their time and effort, and they should be granted a patent if they have something that's new and significant. And so it's great that our system embraces innovation and contributing, in such a positive way. And I've always just been a very curious person. I love learning a little bit about everything. I think that explains my trajectory going into engineering and then law and then doing another master's. I'm just that way. And so I think that's what's fascinating about this area, that it also promotes innovation and improving in as many different areas as possible. So that's a little bit of my background. And then I've been with Bold Patents for four plus years, honestly. And I really love it. And I've grown from being an associate to now I'm a managing patent attorney. We have a fantastic team of individuals that work with us, from our attorneys and agents to the business advisors to our financial and technical support people. Everybody, I would say, has such a wonderful attitude and really loves what they do, and they really will go above and beyond to help our clients and the people who consult with us.
Well, that's amazing. Amazing. That was incredible. I didn't even have to ask the question. You just moved right into it and you covered a lot.
Okay.
I do want to back up for just a moment.
Sure.
Unbelievable background. I haven't noticed you got an LLM. You have an LLM as well. That is incredible. Okay, but walk me back. So when you got the engineering degree, okay, and I did as well. After going to school for 4 years, being an engineer, what made you want to go into law school? Was there something that motivated you to get into the law? Help me through that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, again, it goes back to, I always was interested in science and math and all of that, but I wasn't completely sure that I wanted to be a full-time engineer. I wanted to explore the law, which involves, how do you represent people? What are the basic foundations of a society? How do you, determine what laws apply and how to solve some of the issues that come up. I was just curious about it. And so I was very motivated. And I think when you're 21, 22, yes, you are ready to start a new career, but I also wanted to give myself time to do this because I knew it was a grad program. I wanted to take care of it and get it out of the way. And so that's really, it was just my own motivation to go back to
Wow.
school and to go into law. And it was challenging. I mean, pivoting from engineering to law, they're very different ways of teaching and of working through the in engineering, you really don't write that much and it's all numbers and formulas and things like
Yeah.
that. And so in the law, it's completely different. You're writing really long briefs, you're reading really long cases, and you're learning how to analyze things the way lawyers do. And so I really enjoyed it. Made some wonderful friends that I still, talk to this day. But I really do. I'm so glad that I went through that path. And then in law school is where I became educated about what's patent law and how it actually is not a disservice in any way that I have an engineering degree. I can actually use both and combine them in my future career life, which is what I am doing now.
Yes, absolutely, and quite well. Well, Huda, we could go on for a long time. I do want to give our next guest a little bit of air, but Huda, incredible background. Thank you for sharing it with our guests. Are you open to an email if I post that here for anyone is curious, wants to ask more questions?
Yes,
Okay.
Huda at boldip.com.
Huda at boldip.com.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So you can reach Huda there for additional questions. I'll put you backstage, okay? Because I'm going to probably need your help with this patent question coming up here at the end. So thank you so much for coming on, Huda. It was great talking to you.
You too. Thanks, Diddy.
All right. We have a second attorney, brave, bold patents attorney coming on. And this is Matt Kolseth. Matt, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks, JD. Glad to be here.
Awesome to have you. And as you guys can probably see, Matt is not a patent attorney. We secretly offer trademarks. The jig is up. So yeah, and Matt is our go-to here at Bold Patents for doing trademark work. So Matt, I'm gonna ask you some of the similar questions. Okay, I want to kind of, how did you get started? Once you went through, college, how did you start thinking about the law? What led you to where you're at now?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, and Huda's a hard act to follow, so I'll do my best. But yeah, so I'm Matt Kolseth. I do trademark work at Bold IP. I'm a trademark attorney, and I've been practicing for just over a decade. And I live in Minneapolis, in Minnesota. And how I got interested in the law, I think I always had in the back of my mind that I wanted to go to law school, even since I was a little kid. But in college, and I went to the University of Richmond in Virginia, I studied political science and leadership studies, which basically means you're going to go to law school. And so,
okay. Yeah,
so I had no choice. I had to go to law school. And so I took a year off. I traveled in Africa while I took the LSAT, studying to go to law school, and then went to law school back here in St. Paul, Minnesota. And I had the displeasure of going to law school during the recession. And so I was in law school from 2008 to 2011 or so, and knew basically,
similar time frame.
JD, that the market was going to be really difficult for a young attorney. And so when I was in law school, I focused on the thing that I immediately gravitated towards, which was intellectual property. And so I think I took 11 courses in intellectual property, from trademarks to copyright, trade secret, patent law, and really kind of just, hung it all out on intellectual property and really focused on trademark law, because that was something, not having an engineering background, that I knew that I could do coming out of law school. And I also I love technology, and although I'm not an engineer, I like to play one. And so I really enjoy, working with technology and people who are technologists and people who run businesses. And so I gravitated toward trademark law, came out of law school, went to work for the big firm, and, cut my teeth doing litigation, trademark registration, and then ultimately, have wound up and been fortunate enough for the last few years to be working with you and the whole team at Bold. But love trademark law. I find it really fascinating. I think beyond an LLC or a patent registration, it's the next most important legal asset a company has. And as much as I like working on trademarks, I enjoy working with our clients even more, because our clients are so passionate about what they're doing. And if we can be a small part of their success, that's important to me.
Absolutely. So Matt, tell me, the kinds of clients you work with at Bold Patents, are they for the most part bigger companies like Amazon, Microsoft, and Google, or are they kind of more smaller clients?
Yeah, fortunately not large corporations. Okay. We work, generally speaking, with individual small businesses and some medium-sized businesses. Folks who know what they need from an intellectual property standpoint, potentially, but don't necessarily want the expense of working with a large brick and mortar firm, to be totally honest, but know that they need that expertise. And so I work with a lot of those small, medium-sized businesses and coaching them through the trademark process. We do search reports, legal opinions, application preparation, and if we need to, we can help them litigate and enforce their trademarks.
Awesome. Well, I mean, just one quick final question. What would you say is kind of the biggest misconception or the biggest aha moment clients you work with for the first time find out after they start working with you?
Yeah, I think one of the misconceptions about trademark law is that it's quick, and it is not. And so what I always tell clients, especially in these challenging times of COVID that we live in, is that the USPTO process is a bit longer than it used to be. And so that's why it's important to contact your intellectual property attorney, I would say early and often, because if we can file your trademark earlier before you go to market or launch that next great product, we can save you a whole lot of time and money, being proactive with our trademark application than if we were reactive and you're going to market next week and we need to file a trademark and now we need to wait, upwards of 9 months to a year for that registration. So I would say that's one of the biggest misconceptions about trademark law is that, it's potentially fast. It's not. So, if we can get clients, in the door early, that ultimately works out best for the client.
Yep. Awesome. That's perfect advice. I mean, I think a lot of people living on the patent side, vendors come in, hey, I want a patent on this. So people, okay, hold on, let's take a moment, let's see what you've got, let's see if it's eligible, let's see if it's patentable, and file it. Probably similar approach on trademark. Say, hey, all right, let's see if it's something is even registrable, and then let's see if there's anything confusingly similar. Sort of putting, not getting the cart before the horse kind of thing.
No, that's 100% correct, JD. And like the worst case scenario is if you have a client that walks in the door, they spent $10,000 or more on branding, website development, logo design, business entity formation, and they say, here's my brand, and I'm opening my doors next week. What do you think? And we find issues, right? We either can't register the trademark or we find somebody else who's unregistered but doing something similar with a similar identical name. That's a problem for the client. And we need to work through that, whether it's rebranding the company or potentially trying to work around that issue. But that can be avoided if you get in touch with us earlier than you think you need to. I always tell clients if you can get a hold of me 6 months before you go to market, 6 months before you launch that next product, early in the product development cycle, that's the best time to be contacting your intellectual property attorneys.
Awesome. Great advice. Great. Thank you, Matt. All right. Well, I'm excited to get some of these questions here. I know we have a couple of live viewers, so if you have any questions, anybody out there, please shoot them out. I will prioritize those. We're going to go to our Avvo questions now. And so, Matt, I'll put you backstage and then bring you on to help me answer some of these. So, Matt, thanks again for coming on. All right. And here's some note. And Matt, I'm going to put your email down. Hopefully that is not an issue for you. Anybody wants to reach out to Matt who has questions about trademarks, I've got his email address in the comments there. So let's go to our Avvo questions. Thank you for those that have been waiting patiently. We'll go to our patent question first. We just have one that came in this week. This one is out of Seattle, Washington, my former home, so not too far away from where I'm at in Moses Lake, Washington. So I haven't pre-screened these, so these are like as if they were live. I do a quick read through to make sure there's no obscenities. All right, very good. We did have that previous week. Okay, so here's the question, and I'll put it up on the screen so we can all look at it. Okay, all right. So, do I need to be a U.S. citizen, or should I reside in the USA to be permitted to file provisional patent application? If I'm not living in the USA, can I apply for the PPA? If yes, please, can you give me any tips about the subject? Thank you. Great question. I love it. So I think I can take this one, and I've got Houvener here to back me up. No, you do not need to be a U.S. citizen to file for patent protection in the U.S. You just have to declare where you're from in terms of there's an application data sheet, and you'll indicate who you are as the inventor, or if you're the owner, you'll be the assignee, and you'll apply. If you're a foreign individual, it may make sense for you to also file in your country of origin, but that is not always the case. Sometimes the U.S. market is the most lucrative, most interesting, and so that may be the only country you file into. Yeah, the answer is yes. And I'll bring Huda on to see if she has any other, insights or things she wants to add to that.
No, I mean, that's completely true. And I think that's such a good question. Misconception about that. Yeah, 100% true. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. All right. Well, good. I got confirmation there. Well, so what we'll do is we'll go to our next question, which is trademark related. And this is here we go. We got 5 trademark questions, Matt. Let's even do a rapid fire. Okay, this first one's out of Bronx, New York. Now, this is interesting. I think you might like this one, Matt. Because these trademark questions kind of involve some business law concepts as well. Maybe I'll bring you on the show all the time, Matt. This is nice. Okay, so hello, I'd like to start a skincare business. I wanted to know if I should start my LLC before the trademark. I'm not sure how to start my LLC, and I'm not planning on selling their products until the end of next year. Nice, 6 months out, I like it. Does it make sense to get my LLC now? Matt, I'm gonna bring you on. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is an awesome question. So you are my favorite client, whoever asked this question, because it gets to what I would say is like the correct order of operations when it comes to starting a business. So with regard to the LLC, the trademark application, what do I do when? What I would say and what I prefer clients to do is before they even register their LLC, they contact us. So that we can do our trademark search and opinion and make sure that the mark is clear so that they can register the trademark. Now, once we clear the trademark, meaning that we don't find any issues with registration or infringement by somebody else's brand, at that point, we'll advise the client to register an LLC. Typically, it's going to be in the state in which they reside. So once they register the LLC, typically then we'll use that newly formed LLC to own the trademark applications, which we submit to the government. And if you're not going to the market towards the end of the year or 6 to 9 months, 12 months later, we'll file what's called an intent to use application, which will actually hold your spot in line at the government and give you pre-approval before you can go to market. So that is the ideal situation when it comes to starting a new business. Trademark search first, LLC, trademark application.
Perfect. Good. Anything to add to that? You're welcome to jump in. I think that was great. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, I think Matt hit the nail on the head. The thing to be aware of, why do you want to clear the mark? Sometimes you want to use the mark also as the name of the LLC, but that's not always the case, because you could have a different name for the LLC. And maybe you also need to check if that's available if you're going to start using that as a brand as well. So before you assume that mark is clear for you to use as either the name of the LLC or as a trademark for a product or service, it's definitely best to clear to make sure and to do your due diligence and have a search provided for you, because there are many cases where people launch, file in their state, have websites, spend all that money on flyers and marketing and everything, and then guess what? They get a cease and desist from somebody. So we can hopefully help you avoid that in advance by checking in early.
Awesome. Excellent. Okay, I've got one quick question here. This might take us all the way to the end of the segment. It's got a lot of stuff in here. This is coming out of Miami, Florida. And here it is. It's kind of a 2 or 3 part question. Takes a second to load in. All right, I'll put this up. It'll block our faces for a little bit, and then I'll unhide it. I'll read it out loud. So if I trademark my business, can someone profit from my company name if they buy a domain with my company name in it? I'm looking to expand my business, and I was told that I should buy all the domains, right? It's just like common, with my company name so that nobody can create something with my business name and profit from it. I was also told that if I were to trademark my company name and logo, that no one would be able to profit from it using our company name. This includes an internet domain name with my company name in it. And they go on a little bit further. Let's see if I can get the next little chunk of it. Internet domain with company name in it, looking for the right way to protect my company. Okay, we'll go to you first, Matt. What do you think?
Yeah, good question. So here's what I will say about that. At a very high level, if somebody owns a domain that is similar to your registered trademark, and they are selling similar products from that website domain, yeah, they're in violation of your trademark rights. assuming, of course, that you have better senior trademark rights than they do. Now, if they're using that name in conjunction with a different service or product, they're not going to be in violation of your trademark rights. Now, one thing I will say about domains is that, when I was, fresh out of law school, younger, 10 years ago, domains were a lot more important than they are today. With the advancements in, Google search technology and things like that, folks can find us no matter where we are online. And so your domain doesn't matter as much as it used to. So this idea that we need to potentially register every .net, .org, .com for any similar, name, I'm not sure it's as important as it used to be, JD.
You're muted, JD.
I think you're muted.
Thank you. I was saying something just profound there. No, thank you, Matt. Huda, would you anything to add there? No, domain name versus trademark registration.
There is something that's called the UDRP, Uniform Domain Name Dispute Resolution Policy, and so
I'm going to jot that down. What was that again?
Yes, UDRP. It's administered through WIFO, and any registrar, and a registrar examples like GoDaddy or something like that, they're required to participate in UDRP. So what happens is there are bad actors that, let's say you do well and you have a successful online website and you sell products. It's usually for products, but it may be for services as well. And then you get the sneaky person who takes a domain name very similar, or buys, the same main phrase, .net or something like that, or .biz, or they change it a little. Because what are they trying to do? They're trying to take your customers, move them to their website, or they're trying to force you to buy it from them at a higher price. They know they're squatters, right? And so Matt is right. When the internet really took off several years ago, this was very common. I'm going to buy up this domain name, and then Coke is going to buy it from me, or Pepsi is going to buy it from me, and I'm going to make so much money out of it. Well, they came up with the bodies that be something called the Uniform UDRP, Uniform Domain Name Dispute Resolution Policy. So basically, if you can prove that you have a trademark and you are the registered trademark holder, and somebody has no legitimate interest in this mark, they're using it in a confusingly similar way online and in bad faith, then you can file a complaint with the WIFO agency and say that domain name needs to be either canceled or transferred to me, because and this person is squatting and trying to either profit from my goodwill or to force me to buy it from them at an exorbitant price, for example. And so in a way, so Matt is absolutely right. You don't have to buy up every domain name. I do know some clients that will want to have 2 or 3 of the more important ones, just so that they don't have to get into these too many arguments with people. And so if it's sort of financially possible for you to do so and it's reasonable, you may want to. But this is also an alternative option for you, that pursue the trademark vigorously, enforce your trademark, police regularly. As a trademark holder, you have to police. You have to keep an eye out on social media. And I don't want to run too much on the time. This is something maybe you could talk about in the future, JD, about the duty of a trademark holder to maintain, the quality.
I do want to get to this. I'm sorry, but I want to get to this one live question. Daniel Ricci, our live question. So we got 1 minute left. So you may have already answered this, but what happens if the domain name was registered by another entity, another company, before your mark is registered? Who wins? Who has the priority?
Yeah, great question. Pretty simple answer. Assuming if it's registered and not being used just part, and you come along and register a trademark that's similar, you don't have much recourse, unfortunately. This is kind of what Huda was getting at when we talk about cyber squatting and internet trolls, basically. Unfortunately, if you go look for a website domain today, you're very likely not going to find what you're looking for. It's going to be registered by a large company in the United States, elsewhere in the world, who's holding on to it, hoping that you pay them, $1,000, $10,000 for it. Which is why, again, I'm not so sure that domains are as important as they used to be, because nobody's able to get the domain that they're really looking for these days. But if they have the domain registered before you register your trademark, and they're not diverting your intended customers to their website or to a competitor from that domain, the only recourse we really have is to purchase the domain from them, which is something we can certainly help broker. But for the most part, my 10 years of experience doing this has told me that it's better just to go find a different available trade or a available domain that you can purchase for $10 a year.
Awesome stuff, guys. We're at the end of our show. We could talk for hours, I can tell. This is good. And we're going to have you guys back on. This has been awesome. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Houvener, for being on the show and being a part of this journey with us. So we'll put their contact information. If those of you who are on, you want to hear more from Matt, want to message them, email them directly. They've provided that in the comments here. So for the Bold Patents and our program here, our Bold Today show, we're going to wrap up. I'm JD Houvener, the owner here at Bold Patents, and I'll be here next week, Wednesday, hopefully with some more guests. And I welcome you to join us next week, and invite any of your friends that may want to know more about patent law or IP. So have a good rest of your day, everyone. Take care. Go big, go bold.